Hello, my name is Eric Palmer. I will be putting on the Actionable Financial Literacy class this coming 2025. This financial literacy class is a fusion of actionable items along with economic theory. This is not a total economic theory class because in reality, if you are anything like me, when you got out into the real world, you found out how little you knew about the game of finance. We just weren't taught in schools. So this is a fusion of actionable items that are going to be utilitarian for our children in the real world, as well as the economic theory, so they have an understanding of what's going on around them. So that is the Actionable Financial Literacy class. This is a 16 lesson class, and we take 1 week off this coming semester for spring break. Lesson 1 is the master of money or slave. We will, as the outline shows, we're going to go over the syllabus, the grading, and class expectations. There is no homework. Everything is done in class, unless the student would like to do further research outside of class, but there's going to be no expectation of homework. And then we're going to discuss financial illiteracy and how much it affects the world. And in fact, in reality, 5 out of the 7.5 billion people are considered financially illiterate. And we'll have a discussion as to what that is and drive that lesson home with that old phrase that finance is a game and you will play the game. You can choose to play it poorly or you can choose to play it well, but you will play the game. As all the adults watching this video know, you will play the game. And, going through I was never taught this in school. Our children will be taught the finance game so that they have a better head start than we did. Then we're going to have a discussion on what do you want to get or what do you want to gain out of this class. The purpose is to get buy-in from the child themselves, from the student themselves. And then we are going to very, very briefly establish a class-long savings versus investing account, and we'll get into this a little bit later with the other lessons. Lesson 2, we're going to go through the previous class review. I always feel like it is important to have just a very brief review so things don't slip through the cracks or important lessons from the previous lesson don't get forgot. So we'll go ahead and do a brief class review. Then we are going to spend a little bit more time on that savings and investing activity check-in. This is where we're going to set up a real-time graph and say, hey, if you put $500 in a Wells Fargo savings account, and you put $500 in a MacU savings account, and you put $500 in the S&P 500, just in this class, let's see how that works. And what we're trying to do is actually show in real time that, unfortunately, savings accounts are where you go to lose buying power. They are not a savings mechanism. Inflation surpasses the interest that you get in savings accounts. So showing to the children in real time just how unfortunately useless savings accounts are for long terms, for your security accounts, your safety net accounts, the oh my goodness, we got caught in a tough month account. That's totally fine. But as far as actual growth, savings accounts don't give you actual growth. Then we're going to do our activity, the Jelly Bean object lesson, which will break down or give them the opportunity to learn that there are tools available to make better decisions, and why would we intentionally not use those tools. And then now we get into the economics lessons. So economics chapter 1, where we discuss what is money, specifically coins, paper, fiat currency, tokens, and debt notes. Lesson 3, compounding on your behalf. We're going to discuss the previous lesson, which was the jelly beans. We're going to look at the savings and investing activity. We're going to start discussing the power of compound interest. We've got an object lesson and activity. And then we're going to go into chapter 2, where we're really going to start discussing with the establishment of what currency was, now we're going to see how currency is actually used, and more importantly, how it is debased. That'll be the emphasis of Lesson 3. Lesson 4, money is a tool to be harnessed, where we're going to, again, go through the class review. We are going to go through the Wells Fargo, MacU, and S&P 500 investing versus savings activity. We're going to discuss the time value of money, especially with the event horizon of investing, with saving for college, with saving for a mission, with saving for a wedding, saving for children's college funds, saving for a house, etc. And then the economics chapter 3 on inflation, where we'll go into supply and demand, government interference, and the causes of inflation. Lesson 5, understanding the math of money. The lessons here, the rule of 72. The rule of 72 for how long it's going to take for your investments to mature, but also how are you being taken advantage of when you go and get college student loans, auto loans, etc. Understanding the math of money, understanding it so that our children don't get taken advantage of. Then we're going to go into chapter 4, legal tender versus fiat currencies. And this is going to be a lot more of defining the different terminologies that you hear us discuss in the economy, and unfortunately, oftentimes are not used with their actual definition. And if you don't know the actual definition, it's easier to be misled by the media. Lesson 6, making money make money. The lessons here is going into the introduction of investing, day swing, buy and hold investing, and then the economics chapter of elections, revolutions, and information. This is where we're starting to, with a few weeks now of that Wells Fargo versus MacU versus S&P 500, we are looking at investing and now saying, okay, actionably, how do we do this? And this will lead up to the portion of the class where we start talking about opening up either a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. And we'll discuss that a little bit more in detail. And you will see that the very last class is where I invite all the parents in to hopefully answer all your questions. Lesson 7, smart goals and smart teens. This is where we're actually going to do the math for each student. We are going to do the math and say, if you want to retire, you're 17 right now, and you want to retire at the age of 65 with $1 million, what do we need to do starting next month? What are the actual mathematic benchmarks starting next month? We will work out the financial plan for each student so that they can have an actionable plan to get them to $1 million in their investment account at the age of 65. And then wages, price controls, and spirals for economics chapter 6. Lesson 8, investment growth and savings. We're going to discuss the different types of investments: IRAs, Roth IRAs, 401ks, Roth 401ks, IULs, and the pros and cons of all of them, and let the students come to their conclusion as to what they think is the most valuable. Because really, at the end of the day, we want to empower the students to be able to not only make a decision, but defend their decision. So we're going to look at all of those different investment opportunities. Chapter 7 is on the lessons we learned from recession. Lesson 9, a cautionary tale. This is where, so we've been talking about investing. It's been with a positive slant, but now we need to talk about the risks associated with investing, because yes, there are risks associated. And then we're going to discuss economics chapter 8, velocity versus demand, and the influencers lesson on the economy, where we look at what influencers are affecting what's going on in the economy, what is the velocity of money at any particular time, and how does that affect our eligibility for employment, our eligibility, or not eligibility, but our expected returns for investments, etc. Then we're going to go into lesson 10, emotionally irrational. This is where we're going to further that assertion that yes, investing is what we want to do going forward, but we do need to understand the limitations. So how the market actually works, and it's making that emotionally irrational market, which is the stock market. The stock market is emotionally irrational, but making it logically reasonable through our own strategies. And this is being, investing in conservative stocks, not YOLOing, investing in dividend yield stocks, and gravitating towards ETFs rather than singular stock picks. And then economics chapter 9, getting rich lessons, essentially that there is no getting rich quick. And if someone is trying to sell you a get rich quick, typically they're just trying to sell you something so they can get rich quick. Lesson 11, economic growth and taxation. Now we're going to start talking about those dividend yields. We've talked about the goods of investing. We've talked about the drawbacks or the cautionary tales of investing. Now we need to talk about dividends and that perpetual growth that we, for our students being younger, that they can start investing now and actually stop investing and still grow just by reinvesting their dividend yield. And also capital gains and what that's going to do in association with Roth IRA, IRA, 401k, Roth 401k, IULs. Again, the capital gains affects each one of those differently, and I want the children to firmly understand what the pros and cons are for these different economic modalities, these investment modalities. And then economics chapter 10, inflation in your lifetime. This is an update to the particular lesson book on economics that takes everything from 2008 to 9, and we draw a comparison saying, hey, when your parents are complaining going to the grocery store, why are they complaining? When you hear your grandfather saying that he bought movie tickets for $1.50, why are they now, 13, 14, 15 bucks or more? You hear this phrase penny candy. You used to go and be able to buy one candy for 1 penny, and now it's over 50 cents for a particular candy. What happened? So we're going to dive into inflation a little bit more, but we're going to personalize it to the children from 2008 to now. Lesson 12, let's get investing. Now we're going to actually go through the learning to locate, open, and operate a brokerage account. We're not going to do it yet. Again, any investment account with children under the age of 18, that is a custodial account. They need your permission, but I want them to see it's not impossible. It's not even very, very difficult. People get, even people in possibly our age group, but certainly in my age group, they have this idea that investing is this foreign idea and it's so difficult to get into. And I want to show them step by step that it is not difficult to open up an account. And then we're going to do some pros and cons between Charles Schwab, M1, Fidelity, Ameritrade, the different brokerage accounts. So, and again, we will discuss this with you on Parents' Day as well. Economics Chapter 11, Federal Debt and the State of the Economy. What the federal debt and what the debt clock does to our economic prosperity, and more importantly, or maybe just as importantly, what deficit spending at any specific election cycle, what it does to the state of the economy. Almost done. Lesson 13, portfolio and your goals. Now we're going to get into discussing the specific goals of the student, of the individual student. We're going to discuss day swing, buy and hold trading models and what are the pros and cons of each. And just tipping my hat here, for this class, I only advise buy and hold. I don't want any of these children to go out and start day swinging or swing trading. But I do want them to be aware of what that is and what some of the strategies are that go into that. And we're going to further define dividends and high-low risks as far as our personal goals, each student's personal goals. Economics Chapter 12. Economics Chapter 12, got a frog in my throat this morning. What happened in 2008? So these are economic lessons that should be learned from 2008, and specifically for the students, how to protect themselves from an economic devastation like that from affecting them in the future. Lesson 14, we are going to discuss the fundamental and technical analysis of stocks. when you're watching people in the bullpen and they've got all these graphs that are going through, many people have no idea what those graphs are representing. We are certainly not going to go into detail. That can be an entire 16-week class in it of itself, but we're going to go through the very, very basics of what a fundamental analysis is for stocks and what a technical analysis is for stocks. And then chapter 13 of economics, natural law versus civil law and its effects on economic prosperity. Second to last class, lesson 15, we're going to discuss the taxation and the impact on their accounts and their further economic prosperity. And again, this particular lesson will have a slight lean on being civically active, that voting in politicians who try to minimize taxes, what will that really do for you? Voting in politicians who are advocating for less spending, what will that actually do um, for your investments long term? And then economics chapter 14, a lesson in socialism, understanding the real world effects. In the world that we live in, there's a lot of pro-social or socialism rhetoric. And not to say that socialism in theory is bad. I mean, in theory, it sounds very, very nice that we all share. But in reality, the economic realities, the real world effects are very, very devastating. And I want to make sure, again, not only that our children understand, but that they can defend what capitalism is and be able to stand up against this rhetoric of socialism that sounds very, very nice, but it is empirically and objectively inaccurate. And then lesson 16, this is Parents' Day. This will be a slightly different class. You'll see here we're going to do a brief review of the semester, which is 10 minutes rather than 5 minutes like the rest of the semester. The savings versus investing activity. We're going to take 10 minutes there. More of that is just to explain it to you, the parents. And then we're going to take 35 minutes and open up a Roth IRA step by step in real time and answer your questions. So again, this class is meant to be a fusion of economic theory, the good information that will help our children develop, will help them better understand the world around them, but also give them actionable items specifically tailored to them, breaking it down to them. And all of this will be printed out and available to be brought to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to text me 435-669-0129, and I look forward to seeing your kids here in a couple of weeks.